The trail is a metaphor for change. Although hiking, and specifically endurance hiking, is now a big part of my day-to-day, it's not just about exercise. It's about transformation. Each step is a movement towards clarity, purpose, and identity. But movement is one thing, sharing insights gained is another. As a U.S. Marine veteran, I created this space to help other veterans gain clarity, purpose, and identity. Let's walk this path together. This is Trail to Transformation.
The mission doesn't end when the uniform comes off. Transform service into healing, leadership, and purpose. Turn lived experience into embodied wisdom. Support veterans, first responders, families, and communities. Learn through immersive, in-person experiences. Build skills in mentorship, leadership, and meaningful service. Discover the Veteran Leadership Concentration within the MA in Transpersonal Psychology at Sophia University.
Most people aren't broken, they're just dysregulated. Chronic stress, pain, anxiety, and burnout aren't mindset failures. They're nervous systems stuck in survival. I'm Leland Holgate, combat veteran and neuroscientist, and I created the Welcome Home method to help people rewire their nervous systems with breath. To go deeper, visit thewillfulwarrior.com.
Well, welcome back to the Trail to Transformation. As some of you may know, my name is Laura Cross and I am the host of Mindful Mondays, but I am sitting in for Keith while he is out on the trail doing his hike. And before we get started, I definitely want to give a special thanks to the Sophia University and the Willful Warrior for donating to the Trail to Transformation Foundation, because without those, this show and his mission to hike through the Appalachian Trail would not be possible. But today we are honored to be here with Abi Dorhosti. She's a retired U.S. Air Force officer, a PhD candidate in transpersonal psychology, and a powerful voice in the space of trauma healing and moral injury recovery. With 25 years of military service and a passion for helping veterans rediscover purpose and belonging, Abi blends lived experience with groundbreaking research to guide others from disconnection and shame into compassion and transformation. Abi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Laura. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, so pleasure's all mine. So tell us, after 25 years of military service, what was the pivotal moment that led you from structured leadership into deeply personal work of healing moral injury?
I can't say that there was a pivotal moment. It was more that there was my own journey's beginning that ended up translating into just this path and this journey that's still ongoing. I would say that if I could speak to a moment, it was sitting at my desk at the detailed over to the State Department, actually, thankful that I faced away from other people as I was literally crying at my desk. I was dealing with so much cognitive dissonance between the job that I'd been assigned to do and that, of course, I was going to do a great job at because it's who we are. We sign our name on the dotted line. But what I was doing was very much in conflict with what I actually believed was right and good and would make America, much less the world, safer. And I do not identify as having experienced moral injury, but I definitely dealt with moral distress. And it was that realization that I wasn't okay that actually got me to start seeking help. I started seeing a therapist over at the Pentagon, driving across the river once a week, talking to her for an hour. And that helped me begin to unpack not just the cognitive dissonance that I was dealing with in my current job, but also to realize just how much I'd been pushing down for so long, because I was fine, right? It's what we tell ourselves. We're good. We got to keep moving, get the mission done and everything. And so I had been pushing things down for years. And that relationship didn't fix anything. I don't really believe anything even needs to be fixed. But the important thing is it helped me begin to see and be able to have a relationship with just all the different parts of myself, all the different ways I was experiencing things, all of the patterns I developed to cope. And it gave me space to begin to work on my relationship with all of those aspects of myself. And it ended up, I was able to change jobs over to the Counterterrorism Bureau, which was much more aligned with work that I felt really good about. And in between, I was able to take 3 weeks of leave. I did kind of like a personal retreat with that and also worked with someone 5 hours a day, one-on-one for 7 days straight. Wow. And that's where everything really started to open up and shift for me. And I was able to begin the path of figuring out who I really was before I actually left the Air Force. And so I had a much easier transition, I would say. I'd had the chance to do that already. And then I ended up moving into the healing spaces. I started out during my skill bridge while I was still technically active duty. I went to Georgetown University, got a certificate in health and wellness coaching, became a Reiki master, and interned for a friend's company as their wellness director. And my experience in the military, listening to so many stories that I later identified as stories of moral injury, as well as beginning to work with people, started me down this path that's now culminated in being a PhD student, researching moral injury, and really looking at what are the pathways to wholeness, as opposed to a diagnosis and this is how you fix it. Looking at the holistic human and what are some of the ways that we can begin to transform complex trauma and moral injury into post-traumatic growth.
Yeah, I love that. So many things there. I mean, for one, like you said, it was probably a little easier transition for you because I don't know that many even think about who they really are or what they do before they leave the military. It's after you hit the military, and then it's like, okay, what do I do now? I mean, you may have even had a career field that doesn't translate very well in civilian life, you know, because not all not all of them do. The skills are there, but you may not be, doing the same thing. So definitely want to, commend you for that. That's wonderful, and it's important. But I think before we get too deep into this, can you explain, to like me and others who are not used to the term moral injury, what does that mean, moral injury?
Absolutely. So PTSD is a fear-based response generally. It's something happened and there's this nervous system activation and one gets caught in a loop. So it's externally directed is the way I like to describe it. Moral injury is internally directed. It results from the commission, meaning I did something that was completely against my own moral compass, and now I'm dealing with the dissonance within. Omission, meaning I failed to act. Something wrong was happening and I did nothing to stop it. Or it can be related to betrayal. Systems, humans that I believed were right and things that I thought were a certain way turned out not to be. And now my worldview has shifted. And so it's an internally directed wound that comes from the commission, omission, or betrayal related to one's moral compass.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense too, because especially when you're in the military, you have orders. You do what you're told. It might not be something that you would normally do or you agree with, but you don't always have an option. So,
well, and it also comes to the complexity of situations. And sometimes you have to make a choice where there is no right choice. I mean, one of the classic examples is, unfortunately, there have been humans who, during warfare, have killed children. And it may have been a choice between I shoot the child who's about to kill my friend, or I don't shoot the child and the child shoots my friend. Because unfortunately, there are child soldiers that get it wrapped up in this. And so it's just a clear example of there is no right answer there.
Right.
Or it was accidental. There was a car speeding towards a checkpoint and the rules of engagement said you open fire and this may be, a car bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And in the aftermath, there was a child in there. And unfortunately things happen and there's no, it's the fog of war. It doesn't make it right.
Right.
However, being able to hold what happened and still move forward, taking the wisdom from that experience so that one can do what is right and be a better human, is a nice thing to talk about. We can think of that cognitively, but it's not, you can't think your way out of this. It's such it's often described as a soul wound. That's what I think of it as. And so you can't just talk your way and explain to yourself that it's okay and you did the best that you could. It requires deeper layers. And so that's where moral injury becomes so complex in so many ways and isn't necessarily able to be worked with under the same methodologies as used in PTSD, although there's often a lot of comorbidity, meaning you can have both PTSD and moral injury. And so looking more specifically at moral injury, and I believe that there are a lot of veterans that have been diagnosed with PTSD, but have not, are actually experiencing moral injury, or have not been diagnosed with PTSD because there wasn't a specific life at risk piece that happened,
Right.
but are absolutely dealing with moral injury. And furthermore, the suicide epidemic. Moral injury is a much, much stronger correlation with suicide based on the research than PTSD. People don't kill themselves because they're afraid something's going to happen. It comes from this failure to be able to see a way to live that feels good and true and just and right.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense. So when you describe moral injury as a rupture in identity, meaning, and belonging, can you share how someone begins to rebuild themselves when those foundations feel broken?
And some of this will be based on pure research, and some of this is my own impressions and beliefs and ideas based on conversation and experience and some research that's ongoing. And so I want to acknowledge that up front. But the shame, the self-directed shame that often comes from moral injury causes people often to separate themselves and to not feel like they really belong as a valuable member of society anymore. And so part of it is to create spaces where one can be seen and show up authentically and still be accepted and held. And so these relational spaces help heal the relational wound and help someone to find belonging again, to feel like they belong and are part of these communities. And so that is a piece of the healing. Therapy is phenomenal, highly recommended to anyone and everyone. However, talking to a therapist, for an hour every so often isn't necessarily going to be enough. So how can we create an ecosystem of care? And furthermore, it's not just a psychological wound. It's biopsychosocial, spiritual. And so looking at how do we create reconnection to whatever someone's spiritual foundation is. And that can be nature, it can be art, it can be humanity, or it can be God, the universe, however one describes that. But to begin to feel like you're part of something bigger and that you are an actual part of that, to begin to feel like you're part of a community, whether it's a veteran community or a local community, whatever it is, that to begin to participate in it, or some of the layers that can happen. And one of the pieces that I'm currently researching as my dissertation is looking at, for some, I think that the shame is so great that there isn't a capacity for self-compassion. And self-compassion is strongly correlated with being able to find healing and post-traumatic growth as opposed to being in the injury of moral injury. And so self-compassion is really important for those suffering from moral injury. But sometimes the shame is so great that you can't find compassion for yourself. And what I'm researching is looking at, can receiving compassion from others, is that maybe something that can help one find it in themselves? Externally mediated compassion, in other words. And then there will be a little exploratory question. I'm not directly looking at this, but also psychedelic experiences. Therapeutic, not recreational psychedelic experiences can sometimes give a glimpse into one's own worthiness, being worthy of love, being worthy of being part of community, experiencing self-love and self-compassion and self-forgiveness, some combination thereof. And when you can have that for a moment, you can start to see the possibility. And when you see the possibility, you can start to cultivate and build that. So that's really what I'm looking at is if there's a block to self-compassion, is there a way to create an external experience through relationship, through psychedelic experiences, through spiritual experience, through awe in nature, that can begin to cultivate the capacity for self-compassion.
So the research you're doing is about the compassionate witnessing that you're doing in your work?
That's an aspect of it, absolutely.
Yeah.
And looking at, so compassionate witnessing is the term that I've been using for being able to show up in a space where no one's trying to fix you or rescue you. They're simply being with you and allowing all the parts of you, the shameful parts, the embarrassed parts, the guilty parts, like seeing someone in their wholeness. And it's a powerful tool. And I love the term fracking. The no fracking rule is fixing, rescuing, advice giving, criticizing, or killing the vibe / keeping it about you.
I love
and it's
that.
hard, right?
Right.
Like we want to provide solutions. Somebody comes to you, I'm struggling with this thing. Oh, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? What about this? Don't worry, I'm sure it'll be fine. We're trying to help, but often we're really actually trying to make ourselves feel better. And sometimes what a person really needs is just to be. And so being able to shift from I'm going to fix you to I'm just going to listen. I'm going to be with you. And so instead of have you tried this, it's wow, that sounds really hard. How have you been dealing with this? And just giving space for someone to share. And even when it comes to the very difficult topic, for example, of suicidal ideation, right? To be unafraid of asking someone the hard question of like, are you considering killing yourself, taking your own life? And that's not going to plant the idea. That's going to give them a chance to maybe talk, and coming from a calm place, not, oh my God, I've got to get you help. But wow, yeah, that sounds really hard. How can I support you in this moment? Can I help connect you to resources? Do you want to just talk and be heard?
Yeah, all very good points. I love I love your fracking definition, and it's so true. And I never really looked at it as trying to help self, but I've always been a helper, giver, and it's not necessarily fixed, but you just want to help somebody. You just don't really know how else. And that's one thing that I learned actually when I lost my husband too, is sometimes it's better for people to just say, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say, or, what do you need? And not just tell me how, oh, they can relate, or, say something that's completely off key. But
absolutely. And that's the biggest thing, is just being able to show up and listen. Like, no one needs to know the right words. There are no right words in such a situation, right?
Right.
Just being willing to be there and listen. And so compassionate witnessing, it's this idea, it's not just with your ears. It's choosing to consciously open your heart. It's a somatic, energetic, emotional being with that is so powerfully healing we don't even realize.
Yeah, and I would say, and without judgment is a huge part of that, because no one needs that. There, like you said, there is no right or wrong, and everyone deals and goes through their own process, their own way. However it's best for them to get through. There's no judgment there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so some of the things I've been moving into as my way of being of service, I've actually developed a veteran leadership concentration for Sophia University, who has, I'm so glad that they've sponsored this program. And I'll be teaching one or two of the classes coming up. And the veteran leadership concentration is not just for military veterans, but also for first responder veterans. And the idea is these are populations that are uniquely impacted with moral injury and other injuries of trauma, and are uniquely situated to bring the wisdom that comes from that. So it's an opportunity to learn how to be a space holder, how to create spaces and programs. It's not a licensure program. This is not becoming a therapist. It's learning how to better show up for your community, be an advocate to municipal governments for veteran programs or first responder programs, creating compassionate witnessing circles, perhaps. It's really, someone can make of it what they will, but there are courses that teach from a non-clinical perspective just how to understand moral injury, complex PTSD, etc., military sexual trauma, how to hold space for really difficult conversations about grief, loss, suicide, how to use storytelling, authentic relating as tools for healing. And I'm really excited about this program. I'm so excited Sophia University came to me, worked with me, asked me to champion this program, and supported me in developing it. And I think it's going to be amazing. We've already got our first cohort of students signed up, and the first course will be taught this summer. And that's just felt so amazing and aligned. And then the other,
That's incredible, and I think it's long overdue and very much needed because, yeah, those are all tough situations, topics that people get very uncomfortable with, don't know how to talk about. But the thing is those people need you to be able to talk or listen, and be able to support them.
absolutely. And I also designed it specifically so veterans can maximize their benefits. So without completely disrupting your family life, the job that you have, etc., it's a hybrid course. So it qualifies for the in-residence housing allowance for those using their 9/11 bill. It qualifies for all of the VA programs, Grad Plus loans, etc. And basically, you have 3 days per quarter at the Costa Mesa campus in California. And that 3 days gets you the entire quarter. You have your California housing allowance rate. And so really to allow flexibility. And otherwise, it's asynchronous and online, so it's really accessible. 2 courses is full-time, 1 course is part-time. And so it's just really, it's designed specifically for veterans and our needs. And it's a program that I would have wanted if I had, not already found Sophia University and started their PhD program.
Right. So anyone interested in doing that, sophia.edu, that's the best place for them to go to find that program and get it started?
Absolutely. And the Veteran Leadership Concentration, it's advertised as part of the Master of Arts in Transpersonal Psychology. It's also available as a concentration within our global PhD in Transpersonal Psychology. And you can check out those programs through the website, reach out to the registrar's office, and people are also welcome to reach out to me if they have questions. You can just type my name into LinkedIn and find me quite easily that way.
Nice. We got about 2 minutes left, Abby. I'm so excited for you too. I think that is absolutely wonderful that you get to do that, and can't wait to see, because I know that will help a lot of people. You also have your own foundation. Did you want to tell us a little bit about that? We've got about 2 minutes left.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I designed Amistar Foundation to basically help connect veterans and others healing from trauma to holistic resources for healing, retreats, coaching, that sort of thing. And I was planning on developing a retreat center here in Costa Rica, where I retired to. That is on hold at the moment. We haven't been able to close on the land. That's okay. It's not necessary. It's a bonus. And what we're doing now is we've developed an app, and it's called The Return. And it's in beta. You actually can find it. It's the-return.app, app. And it's designed to have personal tools to look at what are the holistic ways in which I'm doing something small each day to help myself stay in alignment. It's also a way to connect with a network of resources. We have a coach matching feature, and it's completely free, completely non-monetized, although we are willing to accept donations and sponsorships. And for coaches, the ask is simply, you can be on our coach matching. It's like Tinder. You can left, right, swipe. Yes, I like this coach. I want to reach out to them and see about actually working with them. And in return, coaches offer 2 per month group sessions that don't even necessarily have to be coaching. It's just a space for people to show up and connect and be authentic and be heard. So these are spaces for compassionate witnessing. And so we're still in beta. We're working this out. We're working on a peer matching feature right now too, where here are my strengths. Here are areas where I could use support, start matching people. And we think it has a potential to be a real resource for people.
Oh, I would say so. That's incredible. And you're a lady after my own heart. You have the word holistic. And that's what I love too, is holistic. I don't want the medication options. I want the holistic ones, because I know there's a lot we can do and heal holistically. So
Absolutely.
Abby, we're almost out of time, but so I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on here. Is there any last words that you want to leave everybody with today?
Just a reminder that every one of you is here for a reason. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. You don't have to struggle alone. There are resources. Please, if you're considering ending your life, 988, veterans can hit 1 for a direct veteran resource line. Please, please, please reach out and ask for help if you need it. Thank you. So much love.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you again to Sophia University and the Willful Warrior. It's donations like this that help keep this going and keep the support going for you. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And as always, we'll see you on the trail.
Imagine a world where every veteran finds a reason to keep going. That's the vision behind the Trail to Transformation Foundation. Help us make it real. Donate through the GoFundMe link. And as always,